After a tumultuous week in Morgantown, the West Virginia Mountaineers, Ren Baker Company have hired their guy. Some will argue it should have been earlier. Some argue it should have been later. Some argue it should have been John Beeline or somebody else. But at the end of the day, the West Virginia Mountaineers have got their guy. That is interim head coach of the West Virginia Mountaineers, Josh Eilert. Maybe you're disappointed in this. I can understand that. Maybe you're going to ask why this wasn't done earlier. We're going to get into all that, guys. We've got 24 people in the chat. Go ahead and hit that like button, guys. We'd really appreciate that. Coos can't be with me tonight, guys. To probably some of your disappointment. He is visiting parents. I hope to maybe have him on at some point during the live. Go ahead and start dropping those comments in, guys. Remember, the super chat buttons are ready and available. You want to be part of the show. Let me fix this camera just a bit, guys. It's been a rush. If you want to be part of the show, dictate which way this thing goes or make your opinion known to the crowd, certainly I'll be here to hear that, and the super chat would help direct my attention that way. We'll see what's going to happen. So let's get to a couple of banners really quick and things like that, guys. I had made some quick stuff here from Hottie Kirkable. He's got a bunch of stuff here. I know it's not really big. You may have to maximize it on your screen some. You can see here, West Virginia's first choice was former West Virginia head coach John Beeline, but couldn't close the deal. I found that interesting. I think here's the banner where West Virginia men's basketball. You notice they've got the word interim really big on the picture of Josh Eilert. So it is no secret that this is not a permanent thing. But some would argue that he has a chance to make this job permanent. And if I'm Josh Eilert, that's what I'm doing. I'm not trying to make this my permanent gig. We've got a super chat. TRM Music, thanks for the $4.99 super chat. Let's just win, baby. So sad that we were so close to getting Beeline, and Hugs understandably had to protect his dudes. Yeah, I'm not sure to what extent Hugs has been involved here. I've heard it range from sabotage to just protecting his guys. I think we should all calm down on the accusatory things with Hugs right now, guys, because none of us know for sure. Maybe some people in the media do. I've certainly had conversations with people in the media over at Rivals or wherever it is. You know, a few of my guys are at Rivals that I talk to. Good people over there. I haven't heard a lot about it. So, not saying the guys at 247, I know there's some stuff on their messenger board that people were pointing to, and not saying those guys are liars. Those guys are great at what they do. Just, I want to hold off personally until I see some more stuff about this Hug situation and whether or not he was involved, you know, too much or whatever. Doesn't want to let it go. So, yeah, a lot of people are asking about Toussaint and Trey. There's a lot of speculation of what's going to happen there. Trey Mitchell was at Kentucky today. I'm pretty sure this was a speed move on Kentucky's part to get Trey there before they knew Josh Eilert would get hired. It is what it is. Be surprised to see Trey come back, although he is open to it. That's just my gut feeling. I don't have any insider info on Trey. I think Joe has got a chance to come back, which would be great. You know, I think we could. I think while Trey's a good player, he averaged 11 and 5. I've said this multiple times. Kuz is not in my camp as much, but I think Trey is a replaceable piece. I think he's a good player. I think he is at times a great player, but he was a little inconsistent. He was a little inconsistent with the rock when driving to the basket at certain points in time last year. He got stripped a lot. And for a guy who plays that stretch four, a guy that faces up and can shoot the three, you've got to be able to drive a little bit, even at 6'9", 6'8", or whatever he is. We see it all the time. A guy like Alexis Yetna, who was in the portal that we were hopefully still targeting. A guy like Paul Mulcahy is a guy we were still very much involved with as of yesterday. These guys are all options now. If we're losing the funding for Trey Mitchell, Joe Toussaint, and Kirk Creesa, that means we have funding for these guys here. So I would argue that Kirk Creesa is also another player. I think Paul Mulcahy is a better player, in my opinion. Paul Mulcahy is 6'7". He played point guard at Rutgers, and he can stroke it 35-36% from three. Plays a really similar game to Jose Perez. He backs down smaller guards and likes to pass off of that over and left his right shoulder. I'm a big fan of Mulcahy, guys, so we can get him in. I'll be happy with that. He can't replace Kerr and Joe Toussaint both, but he can certainly do a good job replacing one of them. Another $1.99 super chat from TRM Music. Hey, thanks for supporting the show, man. Read Hoppy's tweet about Huggins' involvement. Yeah, like I said, I did read them. I remember now, Hoppy is not the biggest Bob Huggins fan. So my opinion is I'm going to wait and see. Hoppy wasn't there, right? So in my opinion. So I'm going to wait and see until some conclusive stuff comes out. And it will. If Bob Huggins tried to sabotage this, it'll come out. If he was involved a little bit, which you can't blame him, it's hard to let go of something you love so much, guys. I'm not trying to make excuses for the man. All I'm saying is, he wants to have some kind of say in things still. I think that's okay. I've got some people cutting grass outside at 8 o'clock at night. It's a great timing. Trey probably going to Kentucky. John Kelly, yeah, probably so. Hopefully not. I apologize, guys, for this and the noise in the background if you can hear this. I was not expecting somebody to be cutting grass at 8 o'clock at night. Huggins is going to be getting clean over the next year. He'll be around, and he will become the head coach again. Liquid Code, I couldn't disagree more with that. I mean, while I would not be against him coming back personally as head coach, I'm a sucker like that probably. I just think that Hugs, if Gordon Gee is the president, Bob Huggins is not going to be a coach there anytime soon. That's just my opinion. Don't forget to like the video, guys. If you haven't liked the video, drop a comment below if you're watching this after the fact. If you're watching this later on down the line, drop a comment below. Let us know what you think about Josh Eilert being tagged as the interim head coach of the West Virginia Mountaineers. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to Hoops from the Hills, Mountaineer Talks Football, and Kuz's Corner. Really appreciate that, guys. Getting to some more comments. We got 106 people in here. I'm one guy, guys. So I will try to get to comments as I can. Scotty B. the Baylor King. How we doing, brother? Nice to have you in here as always. This makes a lot of sense. Now WVU can make a hire for head coach after the season, like normal, right? And who the intern could be a coach when it's all said and done. And who knows? Yeah, I think this is a possibility. There are some people that are high on Josh Eilert and think that this is a guy that could, turn into a good coach. As of right now, if Raekwon Battle, Edwards, and Jose Perez, Omar Silverio, and the rest of the roster stay, you're still looking at a good roster, guys. I do. I mean, we're going to have to go to the portal and look for some stuff. But with Jay Kuntz still on the roster or on the staff, Josh Eilert, who's been a part of the whole time, amongst others, those dudes were shaking and moving. They were the ones making all these pickups anyway. So the relationships they've built are still there. And guys that are available in the portal will be being contacted probably as soon as now, tonight. Hey, we finally got that deal done. You interested in coming on a visit? I'm sure that's going to be happening soon since they're down a couple scholarships. Yeah, I know this is going to be a common theme. A lot of people think Ren Baker should have done this sooner. But, guys, I really think he tried to do his due diligence. And I think he really tried to do his best for West Virginia. And imagine, just put yourself in Ren Baker's shoes really quick. Let me get a drink, guys. I don't have coups to help me pause and stuff. But you're in Rimbaker's shoes. Your legendary head coach, who's bigger than the state in some ways. He's one of the biggest names in the state, probably the highest paid employee in the state. Gets abruptly let go. Maybe some can argue maybe he should have been more ready for that. And then you fall into a situation to where you're trying to make the donors happy, the players happy. The players have somehow, if they don't equal the power of donors, they may exceed it. You've got President Gee. You've got the coaching staff that remains. You've got the coaching staff you're hiring. You've got we the fans. You've got the media. Rimbaker was. I'm surprised he doesn't look like Gumby. He was pulled so many different directions during this hiring process. I just think he did an incredible job managing all this. I know the hire isn't what some would like, but for goodness sakes, guys, he hit a buzzsaw, man. He hit a buzzsaw. Mark, Silver Shark, you can be tired of the Rimbaker ass kissing. It is what it is, man. He ran into a buzzsaw. He hasn't had a moment's rest since he got to Morgantown. He got here, had to do an evaluation of Neil Brown right off the bat. That's the first thing he did. He hires Dawn Flitzer-White. She has one successful season and quits, so he has to go out and hire Kellogg. Now he's got Huggins and his antics. He gets let go. He had more than one occasion where he did something. He's got to try to support or replace Huggins now. I just think that Rimbaker has not had an easy time. It's not ass kissing, man. It's just the truth. Calling it like it is. Really appreciate you guys for stopping in tonight. We're 120 deep so far. Really appreciate that. Let me know down below, guys. Are you guys happy with this hire? It seems like some people think it should have happened earlier. While I do understand that, I think Rimbaker had to do his due diligence. I have not heard that. We were told that he would strongly consider staying if Eilert was the guy, but wouldn't be surprised if it happened. Doesn't matter. We've got the money to get somebody else. If not this year, next year. I won't believe any rumors until they're substantiated, though. I appreciate you, George Wells, for stopping in, though. 3 o'clock, they're going to meet. Rimbaker and Josh Eilert. Appreciate that, Curtis 316. Baker's in over his head. I disagree. What's up, W Football Going Deep? He's got a channel, guys. Go check that out. He does a good job over there. Baker followed the right path, seeing what choices might be. We will never know if it's his hire or bending to pressure. Have to focus on the team when we see what happens. At the end of the day, that's what it. Like I said, he basically had to at least do his diligence, see what was out there. He tried to get John Beeline, and ultimately didn't work out. From what I understand, and I was in contact with Patrick Beeline as early as today. Basically, Patrick was supposed to come on as almost like a head coach in waiting type situation. And I think that was a sticking point on the West Virginia side. Patrick Beeline hasn't had any notable success as a head coach in his career. I think he flamed out someplace. Unfortunately, I don't think West Virginia wanted to do that. I think John Beeline believes in his son, as he should. But obviously trying to get Beeline in here. I don't know what the numbers or the deal was yet. That'll all probably come out. But from all intents and purposes, it was supposed to be a 3-year deal, and I think they were getting stuck on some of the numbers with that. We'll see what those come out to be. Would have been interesting to see what a Beeline hire would have looked like, because I'm a believer in that guy could have turned this roster around in a heartbeat. Maybe not this season because of the lack of transfer portal depth, but certainly going into next year, he would have had a competitive roster with the NIL backing that we have had up until this point, unless the donors were going to throw fits over it, which it sounds like that's what happened. I think that's why one of the biggest reasons the hire wasn't made, unfortunately. Maybe another coaching search is if Neil Brown gets fired this fall. Yeah, that's another thing. Unfortunately, Rim Baker did a great job. I agree. I think he's done a pretty good job so far. He did the best he could to navigate this complete shit show. David Frame, I agree. Gordon Gee has got us $35 million into the red. I'm actually prepping a video for that. Um, it's a mess right now under Gordon Gee. And not only that, some people would say that he is a little bit woke. I hate using that word because it's like a buzzword and a lot of people use it these days. But man, he really is. Did you see them put out that they were? I'm just curious, guys. Did you think the interviews with? I'm not saying that they don't qualify at all, but did you see the McKay and the Hunter coaching search? What they apparently spoke with McKay and Hunter yesterday. Do you guys think that was an affirmative action thing, or do you think they were actually considering those two coaches? I found that to be interesting, being that they were both African American, and I truly believe they were both good coaches. But in that situation, it was just like it was thrown out there in the media just to say, hey, yes, we did check in with some black guys. That's just what it looked like from my end. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Be interested to see what everybody else thinks about that. My cat's making your cat meow. Listen, here's what's going on with my cat right now. I've got a cat that is in heat. And if anybody knows what that's like, it's hell. She won't stop touching me or rubbing on me or whatever. And I'm trying not to be mean to her because it's not her fault. I understand its nature. But there's a tomcat outside the window out there. And they just keep staring at each other. And I feel like it's causing her to go in heat. So it's annoying. Apologies. A little woke. Amen. Judges not consider return with Eilert hire. That's a report. Curtis D, can you add who that's through? Who reported that? They just interviewed him to appease others. Very possible. Somebody said hot take. Get her fixed. Yeah, that's probably an option. Probably should have done it. Yeah, like I said, DPA. I'm not saying Ron Hunter's not a good coach. What I'm questioning is whether or not WVU was serious about hiring Ron Hunter, because it doesn't seem like those talks ever went anywhere. He's at a mid-major program. It's not like this wouldn't be an incredible job opportunity for him. It'd be an opportunity for West Virginia to hire their first minority coach, but it seems like it didn't go very far. And I just wonder, a few people and I had wondered if that was West Virginia doing their affirmative action due diligence. Just a question. I'm not saying that it is true or isn't. I was just posing the question to you guys. Guys, don't forget to like the video if you're in here. We're 147 deep. I would really appreciate, guys, if you don't mind, just to like the video really quick. I know every single video you watch, everybody asks you to like videos and comment and do this. But it's only because, like in my situation, I do this full time. And this is how I pay my bills. And so a video doing good can be the difference between decent money or not very good money. So I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that. It's just it helps me personally, along with Coos. So very much appreciated if you do like the video, if you comment and all that kind of stuff. It makes a big difference. I wonder if Huggins will coach somewhere else later. He's getting up there in age. It's a good question. I think his health is a serious concern. Obviously, we've seen the defibrillator incident where he went down on the sideline. We know he's had the heart attack that almost took his life. He's a heavy drinker from all reports. I would say that time's not on his side. And if you've ever looked at an x-ray of what alcohol does to the brain, it's not good. Looks like French fries in some cases. Do you think Mitchell and Toussaint were feeling heat for their playtime and depth chart from the new inbound transfers? No, Trey Mitchell was never in question as far as his spot. Joe Toussaint was most likely always going to be a sixth man. Some thought maybe he would play the two guard and Raekwon Battle would come off the bench, but if you watch any Raekwon Battle tape, you'll know, in my opinion, he's possibly the best player on this team. He can jump out of the gym. He's a 40-inch vert guy. He's got elite handles. He can score. He's dropped 35 and 40 points in the game several times throughout his career. He was a late bloomer. Raekwon Battle was. He wasn't that good at Washington yet. Had some good games. Finally, he goes to a mid-major program and really ascends and had really good games against really, really good teams. And I do think that if this team can stay together, I think Raekwon Battle has a chance to be one of the best players in the Big 12 this year. So Joe Toussaint, in my opinion, was probably always going to be a sixth guy. He's the sixth guy in the rotation, in my opinion. But now that Kerr's gone, he would be a starter. So that kind of confused me as well when he went in with Kerr. Well, that was his starting position opening up. I was kind of surprised to see him go. Maybe it was a show of power on the players' part, and maybe they were always going to come back if the right guy was hired. It's really hard to say. John Rothstein, okay. Ethan Bach as well. Yeah, I've had conversations with some people about this stuff, about these transfers, and just not really sure what's going to happen with it. Can we outbid a Kentucky? I don't know. I don't know. I doubt it. And since Coach Cal and Hugs aren't exactly the best friends like they used to be, from what I understand, because of the Sheway incident, I just don't know if they're gonna have any sympathy on Hugs in this situation and him keeping all his guys here based off of the relationship that they used to have. Got another super chat. I really appreciate it. Brad Smith, what's up, Brad? Really appreciate the live show. Keep up the outstanding work. Really appreciate that, Brad. That is Brad Smith from the Voice of Morgantown, who does a good job over there reporting for the Voice of Morgantown. Mountain Man said, it's still a good team with what we still have. I agree. And in my opinion, there are still players in my opinion anyways, there are still players to be gotten. Like I said, Paul Mulcahy and Anthony Yetna. That replaces Kirk Kriisa, and that replaces Trey Mitchell. Now, does it fully replace Trey with the Yetna? No, but Yetna is an elite rebounder. He averages 7 rebounds a game. He's a left-handed player that only goes primarily over his right shoulder. He does not score over his left shoulder a lot. Mulcahy, like I said earlier, you get into my wheelhouse when you talk about breaking down players. In my opinion, maybe that sounded too cocky. If it did, I'm sorry. But for Mulcahy, like I said, he's got a lot of Jose Perez in his game. Likes to back down smaller guards. Loves to throw one-handed passes, but he's accurate with them. Loves to be flashy on the court. And thanks Sean McNeil kind of stroke. That's the kind of stroke Mulcahy has. And he was labeled by Andy Katz as a top 20 Big Ten player, which we all know is a really, really good conference in basketball. So I think Mulcahy is a guy I've wanted so bad for this program. He fit Bob Huggins in that style. But even the coaches left over are probably going to have some semblance to the Huggins style. So I think he would be a great addition. Seems like Mitchell's definitely gone. Maybe so. Shane, are these guys definitely transferring? That's the $1 million question, man. I don't think anybody knows just yet. But it doesn't look good in Trey Mitchell's case. But outside of him, I think we're good to go. And I do think that this staff will replace him in some way, shape, or form. And let's not forget Mo McGee, James Okonkwo, guys like that could step up. If Mo McGee gets any better, he was already able to score around the rim. I mean, he's got a chance to really step his game up this year and possibly become a good contributor. All right, thanks, John Kelly. He's saying ESPN just picked up the hire. If Creasa does leave, it could definitely open the door for Perez to lead the show. From the point, because he was going to be three, he was going to be at the three spot. From everything I've been told, um, before all this happened, it was going to be Kerr at the one, probably Raekwon at the two, Jose at the three, Trey at the four, and Edwards at the five. And then, probably the Italy trip that's coming up is going to decide a lot of that. Maybe it would have been Joe at the two and Raekwon backed him up, or maybe they would have flip flopped Kerr and Jose, or who knows how it would have gone. But as of right now, it's looking like maybe Jose may have to run more of a point guard type role which he's done before at Manhattan. And where else has he been? Gardner Webb and Marquette, other places he's been. So he could do it. He has done it, but he's really more of a three guard. He averages 18 points a game. He's a scoring guard, even though he does it what I would consider like old man game. He's not an incredible leaper. He's not an incredible athlete. He's a good athlete, but Jose Perez is not dunking on people. He's got a good mid-range game. He can hit the three. Where he really excels is backing down smaller players, very similar to Paul Mulcahy, except he's really good at it. And he has a variety of post moves out of that because he's 6'5". So you got to think, growing up, he probably played some four in his life or some five. So you develop those post moves early on in your life. Yeah, Perez is a three for sure. Yeah, agreed. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it's when you're passionate about something, I feel like somebody told me one time where hope I don't botch this, but where passion and opportunity meet can be a career for somebody. And what I did was I bet on myself. About a year ago, I quit my job. I paid my bills up for a year, and I decided to start YouTube. I was laughed at by a lot of people. By no way have I made it. I'm not saying I've made it at all. Got a few thousand subscribers on a couple channels, and just landed a sponsorship deal, and I'm finally getting paid by YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But it's been it's been a lot of hard work to get there. But man, I feel like that if our fan base is full of people that could do this. We've got so many educated fans that are really good speakers, which I think is one of the things that nationally people would be surprised by is how smart our fan base is, because people think we're dumb hillbillies and we're not. A lot of us don't even talk like that anymore. I grew up in Mingo County, West Virginia, where your eyes was as I, and it's not, you don't say a, you say I, and like my uncle, he don't say pass, he says pice, different stuff like that. But I moved to Ohio in '97, so I kind of grew out of some of that accent, is what happened. Now, if I talk to anybody else, they tell me I definitely got an accent. Still, Mark thinks that I should wear a hat in every episode. I think I wore a hat. I did not wear a hat one time. It freaked him out. He didn't know who I was. So I wear a hat most of the time because Civil Mark needs me to. Appreciate that, man. Guys, we've got 177 people in here. The chat is flying. I can't always see every comment. So if you've got something you really want said, hit that button down below with the $sign. I don't exactly know what they call it. Whether you're on Mountaineer Paul Talks Football or Hoops from the Hills, we do have the super chat activated there now. Certainly would appreciate that if you want to be part of the show. If you can't do that, at least like the video and comment afterwards, guys. Would really appreciate that. John Christophic says, a little bit of a hot take, Ron Everhart should have been the interim head coach. I understand that point and that logic. He certainly has a little more experience than Eilert. I think what they're doing here is So think of it like this. What if Eilert turns out to be a really good head coach? People will point to and say, but he's backed up Hugs for 17 years. That's one point. But maybe he was just waiting his time out. He started as a video coordinator, so he's really had to climb the ladder. I love that about him. He's obviously dedicated. Love that about him. He's a good dad. Love that about him. And a lot of people say he's bright, and he's still young, guys. So West Virginia could be in the catbird seat here if this team ends up being good and Josh Eilert turns out to be a good coach or maybe even a great coach. You never know what's going to happen. It's all hypothetical. I'm not saying it will happen. But if it does, West Virginia's in the catbird seat because not only do they not have to do a search next year, they've got a guy that's been trained under one of the greatest coaches of all time, on at times one of the best staffs ever, and he's learned a lot, and he's just got to implement that, and hopefully he can get a roster put together that will allow him to kind of grow with his own growing pains. You know, if you put a lot of talent on this roster, well, anybody can coach with talent. So it would give Eilert a chance to grow through some of that stuff, in my opinion. So that's what we're hoping for. If these guys do transfer and this roster ends up being successful anyway, that's almost, from a content creator standpoint, something that I'm not rooting for because I love West Virginia, but I could visualize it as good content would be, what if a lot of these players transfer and Aller still does a bang-up job? That'd be a heck of a thing, wouldn't it? Trey Mitchell leaves. Joe Toussaint leaves. Kirk Risa leaves. The sky is falling. Josh Eilert gets the intern tag. Not what everybody wanted. They wanted Beeline, or most people did. Or some people wanted Everhart. But not everybody wanted Eilert, right? And then he turns it around and wins 25 games or 22 games or 23 games. Wouldn't that be something? So, I'm a dreamer. Kill me. But I would love to see something like that. I also agree the Italy trip is going to be a big deal. That's going to allow this team time to gel. They're going to figure out the rotation at least 7 to 8 deep, which, early in the season they usually play up to 10, 11 guys even. This was going to be a roster where I think Sybil Mark said it over and over again. This was going to be a 5 in and 5 out type offense. I think he really felt that way, where 5 were going to come on and off, maybe even depress. Why not go younger, all the way, and hire Blaine Stewart as football coach and Brown leaves? Dan, that might be something that can happen down the road, but Blaine just doesn't have the experience yet. He's coached in the NFL as a position coach. Now he's coaching, I think, he's definitely coaching his first Power 5 season that I know of in college. You couldn't justify the hire yet. Would he do a good job? Maybe. But I think he needs some seasoning still, unfortunately. But I wouldn't be against it at some point, and it would be a great story. I just think as fans, we kind of need to get past so we seem to have a fixation on former West Virginia coaches or their sons or their relation or somebody in the tree. I think sometimes you need a clean break from that stuff. And if either doesn't do a good job or they still decide to go another direction come this next season, I really wouldn't mind them going just a completely new direction and starting over, new blood. It doesn't have to be a Hugs disciple. Doesn't have to be somebody affiliated with the program from before. It just has to be somebody that embraces what our lifestyle in West Virginia is all about. It's blue collar, that's hard working, that's honest, values coal miners and wood makers and people that love West Virginia sports. We hate Pitt, we hate Virginia Tech, we hate Maryland, we hate Syracuse, name it. We really hate Marshall, even though we don't play him, but we love them by God Mountaineers, and that's pretty much what it is. BPA 1985 says, Paul, have you heard anything about how they are going to handle the conference schedule with all the new teams this season? I assume you mean in basketball. Um, no, I have not heard yet. Um, but I assume it will be something similar to what you saw in football, except doubled, right? So maybe you play all four new teams this time around, and you play them twice, but you lose, let's say, a Kansas State, an Oklahoma, um, a Texas Tech, and Iowa State or whoever it is. That could be the case where we get all four new guys, or maybe it's 2-2. But the schedule should be getting released fairly soon, actually. Yeah, Kentucky's now on that list a little bit. Yeah, I said the same thing. Look, when I started the show, Liquid Code, let me find it. Whenever I pulled this up, there it is. Look how big the word interim is. They are not playing, are they? They want to make sure everybody knows this is temporary. This is not. We don't believe this is the coach of the future. Look at this face. Look at this face right here. See that face? That is not the coach of the future. That is the coach of the present, and maybe not even the whole season's worth. Who knows what's going to happen with poor Josh Eilert and what he's walked into. Half the donors don't want him. Half the media is not happy about him. Half of the fans aren't happy with him. And the players seem to want him, and that's about it. So we'll see. Apologies for my phone going off. This all happened so fast. I wanted to get on it before everybody else, just so we could kind of be. I like to be first, or at least try to be somewhat first. We got 200 people in the chat room, guys. That's a pretty good accomplishment. Really proud of that. Really glad to see all you guys in here, wherever you may be. Whether you're a West Virginia Mountaineers fan, a Big 12 fan, or a fan of another team, or just a casual fan or not a fan at all, welcome to Hoops from the Hills. This is a show where we talk about West Virginia basketball and Big 12 basketball. My partner, Coos, who has a channel that's extremely successful over on Coos' Corner, one of the best West Virginia football channels out there. I also have a football channel called Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, which some of you may be watching this simultaneously, with Hoops from the Hills, and we certainly appreciate you guys for being here. If you're subscribed to Hoops from the Hills and you're not subscribed to Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, or if you're subscribed to Mountaineer Paul Talks Football and not Hoops from the Hills, I ask that you go to one or the other and subscribe. I'm on both. I have both these channels are channels that I support full time. Coos supports this channel full time, and Coos' Corner. And the trio are a trio of shows that we all work on together in some way, shape, or form. We're usually guests on one another's channels, and we support each other. And I feel like we've grown together, and Coos has really taught me a lot about this business, and it's helped me in a lot of ways, and I'm really grateful for the situation we find ourselves in. So really appreciate you guys for being here. I am a fan. If the player want him, I happy. Not exactly sure what you mean there, Reva, if you can clarify. Well, listen, Gavin, I understand that you're not happy with this man, and you have every right to be. But I'm in wait and see mode. I'm in wait and see mode with the NIL, the way things are, and the way that the money we have seemingly had up until now to put towards it. I'm not going to give up on this roster yet, and we're going to see, hopefully, where this thing ends up. Rim Baker has released a message. Can somebody paraphrase what that says? Really appreciate that, guys. At the end of the day, Seth Wilson says it's the players that are on the hardwood. So if Eiler's their guy, then confidence is better than ambiguity come game time. Absolutely. I feel the same way. I feel the same exact way. You gotta have you gotta know what's going on at least. You know, these players have to have faith in their guy. And let's because there's some players in this roster that really can't transfer, or if they try, probably wouldn't be cleared, like a Jose Perez. So whoever they hired was probably going to be his guy. Now, some have speculated that he was going to transfer anyway. I don't know how he would be cleared. I just don't know. Maybe they would have gave it to him, but it would have been fifth. Maybe this might have been his fifth university or something like that. So that was really it needed to be somebody the players wanted. I agree, but also, man, you know, I would have loved to have seen Ben McCollum or something like that. Maybe Ben McCollum's going to be coaching his team for another year. Maybe the job opens and he gets it next year. Maybe Rimbaker compromised with the donors and the boosters and said, hey, look, you guys get your guy this year. I get my guy next year. Maybe that's what happened. Tommy Wood said, hey, man, love the channel. It's growing. You and Coos made this coaching search tolerable. Aha, keep it up. Tommy, man, those are the comments we live to see. We really love to see when you guys support us and kind of validate us, because we're just regular guys that are fans that decided to sit in front of our phones and talk about sports. Yes, as you practice, you get better at it and you pick up tips. Yes, I do watch ESPN and try to figure out if I can do what they do. Yes, I've always wanted to do it. Yes, I do spend 40 to 60 hours a week studying Mountaineer basketball, football, and whatever and what have you. But it's something anybody can do. I always say that. Something anybody can do. It's just not something that anybody can do good. And that's the separation point. I wasn't sure whether I was going to be one of those people or not. And you guys continue to validate me and make me feel good about myself. And, man, I appreciate the hell out of that. I really do. Really love you guys, man. I really do. I try not to get too mushy because most likely, according to my YouTube algorithm stats, 99% of you are guys. So just saying, it's a sausage party in here, man. It is what it is. Mark the Silver Shark. That's a cool name, by the way. Do you think the interim, because they are thinking about giving Hugs another chance? Mark, man, listen, I would love, in my heart for Hugs to get a second chance. Let's say he goes to rehab and gets his life together, because I do think he needs to quit drinking. Even though I don't know how much he drinks personally, but I've heard from people that are around him that it's a lot and that he drinks every day. And what happens is I've told on this show before, I'm in recovery personally. I've been clean coming into 4 years. And so I know what the disease of alcoholism and addiction can do to somebody. And a lot of times you get into a spot to where what they consider you a functioning alcoholic or addict, and in that you can do what you do on a daily basis, but it's usually centered around, or your drinking is centered, or drugging or whatever is centered around that thing. And I think, speculating that Hugs was something like that. And I really do think that he needs to get some help with, if anything, but for his heart, with the alcohol. Certainly it's the proof is in the pudding. He's made at least 3 bad decisions we know of that were alcohol fueled. And that is what we call a pattern in the addiction recovery community. So when you have a pattern, you have to figure out what's causing the pattern and what the root of the pattern is. And hopefully he does that. If he does that, I would love to see him get another chance, and I would love to see it be at West Virginia. Maybe that's what happens here. Maybe in a year they can justify it. Would love nothing more. But, I don't know how many people would go for that. And we're probably still in, I don't want to say the minority, but I wouldn't say we're majority either. It's pretty split on Coach Huggins. Used to be around, and honestly, it's a large amount he can handle. And in order to handle those kind of amounts, you have to have a consistent intake. People in Hugs enabling, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, enabling is a part of addiction. There's a saying in the rooms, and I don't want to keep quoting stuff at you guys. That's not what you come here for. But there's a saying they have in recovery, and it's I use I statements. It doesn't mean I'm getting high, but I statements keep it on me so that nobody else personalizes this so they don't think it's about them. But basically, I statements is kind of what it sounds like. When I get high, my family gets sick because they fall into a, oh my gosh, how do we help him mode. And a true alcoholic or addict will manipulate that situation to their benefit. And over a course of time, that comes a really sick kind of codependency. So, unfortunately, I don't know how that went with Hugs, but I've heard several people say that he was enabled to do what he did, and unfortunately, that can be a situation in and of itself where those people who are the enablers have there's a point in time where they don't know what to do because they were so used to being that enabler for you that they kind of have this disconnect where they don't know what to do anymore. It's kind of a tough situation. I think Bob Huggins will become governor of West Virginia before he's the head coach of WVU. David Frame, that may very well be the case. May very well be the case. Also, Gordon Gee, I saw somebody else. Gordon Gee probably needs to be out if Huggins is going to come back. I don't see those two. That marriage probably not going to happen. And I don't know that Ren Baker, as young into his career as he is, can justify Bob Huggins' return. The regular guys facing adversity, it's what shows us who we truly are. Love you. Oh, well, Trevor, I appreciate that. It means a lot. Really does. Dennis Wildman, really appreciate that, man. Really do. I'm glad that you like the show. And it continuously humbles me that you guys like this. I have a hard time believing it. Curtis D316, man, you are the man. You tweeted the link. Anybody else in here, if you would like to click the share button and share this on Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook, you can blow this thing out of the water. Get us a crap ton of subscribers if you want. Hey, look, it only helps all of us, right? He's got the job now. All you have to do is support. Referring to Josh Eilert, I assume? Yes, I agree. Oh, we already said that one. Already said that one. Let's look at a couple of these things that Hoppy tweeted out. See if we can make some comments on that. This was interesting, I thought. WVU worked hard to try and secure John Beeline, but reportedly Gordon Gee and Ren Baker are hiring Eilert. Key is keeping roster, especially after 3 players had entered the portal. Interesting that they needed to be hit with 3 players in the portal before they came to that conclusion. But also interesting that, hey, John Beeline was probably in this thing right up towards the end. And, like I said, I know somebody was in direct contact with Patrick Beeline. I saw the messages myself. Not even an hour before Josh Eilert was hired. And it appears that Beeline thought that his dad was still in the hunt. So very interesting, guys, that John Beeline may have been a surprise hire towards the end here. Now, we would have lost this roster, but who better to build the roster back? I mean, you got to trust Beeline's ability to do that. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem like it's going to happen now. I'm good with Eilert. I would have been good with Beeline. I'd pretty much already come to terms with the fact that this roster wasn't going to look the same anymore, and 3 of the best players were going to be gone. So two starters and one backup that could be a starter almost anywhere else. So the potency of this roster, and another thing about this roster, I'd love to get your guys' opinion on is so Fran Fraschilla and a number of other outlets, Jay Billis, and a few other outlets like magazines, preseason magazines and stuff, did not view our roster as a top half of the Big 12 roster. And I wonder if we're looking through gold and blue colored glasses at this roster. And maybe it's not as good as we thought, because the only people I've seen think this roster are really good are us. And that's because it's ranked so highly in the portal. So that's pretty interesting to me, and I'll be interested to see exactly how that plays out as well. Curtis D3 is on it tonight. Jeff Goodman said he talked to Kirk Risa, and he is really happy WVU hired Josh Eilert, but will take a little time to think about the situation. They took too long, in some ways, as far as the players are concerned. They took a day too long, it seems like, in my opinion. Jesse Branham, Paul, you be the next loved WB person as Bob Huggins. You heard it here first. I see the future. Look me up and you realize this is no joke. Well, listen, if I get to that status, then I'll be one of those guys you see on, see those guys that go give out the packages that just have money in them to people that are just random on the streets. That'd be the kind of person I was if I had it like that, I've always thought that would be cool to go up to somebody and give them 1,000 or 10, like Mr. Beast does or something. Give them $1,000 or $10,000 just to change their life. Don't even have to record it. There was a point in time where I was able to give something to people when I had a settlement for an injury that I had, and that was pretty cool. I used to help people a lot when I had that. It was pretty fun. Right. I'm not gonna record it though. I think that's the difference. People record that, and then what they do is, so people get this. They build up their YouTuber subscriber or their following, and then they give out. Then they use the money from that to make content, and they'll give the money to people and record it, and it's really wholesome looking. A lot of times it's staged, but not always. And these videos get hundreds of thousands of views and millions of views. And so basically they use this money to get views now. And it also helps people. But I think that's what you're talking about, Liquid Code. Is that what you're talking about? Hundreds for the Hill. That's not a bad name, Mark. I like it. I'll take it, man. I'll take it. We'll all go on a ride. We'll do YouTube lives together. All 181 of us. We'll just go give me money to give people and stuff like that in the name of West Virginia Mountaineers. Hey, maybe we could just cut out the middleman and we'll just turn it into our own Hoops from the Hills or Hundreds from the Hills Trust, and we'll start recruiting players we want to the Mountaineers. How about that? We'll let Bass Hunter lead it since he don't have any problem speaking his mind. We'll let him tell us who to go get. This show has turned into all kinds of wild stuff tonight, hasn't it? I think we're all a little loopy after this week. It's been, I don't know about you guys, but I ain't slept good one night waiting on this coaching search to be over. I was up until 2 and 3 in the morning almost every night talking with people that were also up, checking message boards. There's good info on message boards. They're not gospel, but every now and again you can come across, if you pay attention to who posts, on message boards, you'll see that there's a few people that only post every now and then. And those are the people that a lot of times have the info. They're usually boosters that are coming on, or, that don't want to be anonymous or whatever it is. And you can kind of get a feel for who drops the good stuff. Hundreds of bills, James Blankenship. Go new coach. We got your back. If drinking a beer gets you fired, I'll buy Brown a cold one. Yeah, I don't think I don't think Eilert's going to be getting in trouble for drinking and driving anytime soon. Hopefully not. Do I think we'll get guys back from the portal? I think it's probably 50-50 at this point, Braxton. I really do. I don't think I can't lean one way or the other. And if you put my gun to my head, I would say, sorry, I got something in my eye there. I would say Trey Mitchell probably not coming back at this point. He was already on a visit to Kentucky as early as today. The Kentucky Wildcats, sorry guys, I think they saw this situation was going to be wrapped up pretty quickly today as far as Eilert. And so they got Mitchell there pretty quick. So we'll see what happens with that. He could be, Mitchell could be gone. Goodness gracious, I got something in my eye, didn't I? So it's 50-50 at this point, man. Well, I mean, that's fine. We didn't get Beeline, but I do think he could have rebuilt his roster in a year. I do believe that. Glad you like the Eilert hire, though. Liquid Coach says, I'm not a fundraiser, but I do deal in commodity futures. So when it comes to parking that hundreds from the hills money in a fund, hit me up. Okay, man. All right, it might be a little while. Did somebody give us another super chat? Yes, they did. I apologize. I didn't see that. There's Jacob Yoho. I was wondering where you were, man. He said, let's go, Josh. Yep, Jacob Yoho, welcome to Hoops from the Hills. Thank you for the $2 super chat, man. Makes a big difference. So, are you talking about? Goodness, sorry guys, I got something in it. Braxton, are you talking about recruiting on the high school level, or are you talking about transfer portal? Because the portal is probably going to be getting resolved anytime this month. Not this month, but next month. As far as high school, I would encourage you to go to Cooz's Corner and watch his new video. He just released a video today, which he references a video in an article that I wrote about Samaj Jones and Khalil Wilkins. I have it on good authority that Khalil Wilkins has met and surpassed Samaj Jones as the guy. He is now the guy in the 2024 recruiting class. Will not be surprised if Khalil Wilkins ends up being the guy that's taken over Samaj Jones. Even though Brandon Raymond, Samaj Jones' high school teammate, still, what I'm hearing is Wilkins is the guy now. Go to Cooz's Corner and watch that new video, guys. He just released it today. Has a lot to say about that subject, and he also breaks down Wilkins and has a really good quarterback to compare him to. So go check that out. There's a few other guys. Mekhi Byerson is a guy who I'm really high on. He's a pass rusher. He's pretty high on West Virginia. As of right now, there's a total of 18 guys, actually, that are in the coming days or weeks really high on West Virginia, and at different points in time we'll be waiting on their decisions. If you have Rivals.com, I would suggest Keenan Cummings just wrote an article today and dropped it. They're actually promoting it on the site as we speak. I would highly suggest going there and reading that article, reading about the 18 players. I wrote an article on it, but was asked not to publish it yet because they're promoting this. So that's why I know so much about it. But, yeah, there are 18 players that West Virginia is looking at right now in the recruiting high school ranks that are all really good, 3- and 4-star players. Be interesting to see what happens with those. Thomas Rabba said, for my taste, you suck. Your coach rather quickly. Didn't start drinking recently. We had this happen for years while you celebrated him as one of the best coaches in the NCAA. Well, it's not illegal to drink, man. And, up until this year, he hadn't really had, as far as I know anyway, done anything illegal that he'd been caught for. So he's well within his rights to drink as much as he wants. There's nothing anybody can do about it. You can talk about enablers, but I mean, as fans, we have nothing to do with it. Maybe you can say his friends, you know, sold him out, but as far as we go, as fans, we didn't have anything to do with it. All we know is he coached on the floor and he won a lot of games, if not very many these past couple of years, but he did. All right, got a couple more super chats to get to here, guys. Jacob Yoho, once again, my brother, thank you. Let's get behind him, fans, and let's sell out. I agree. Let's get behind Josh Eilert. There's nothing we can do, guys, except support. We can be negative. We can talk crap about the players. We can do all that. But at the end of the day, supporting helps. You know the facts. It takes how many strokes of positive to wash out a negative? I think it's 4 positives to 1 negative. Same thing goes for these kids and what they see on social media. It has an impact whether people want to believe it or not. David Cummings, thank you for the $5 super chat. Do we keep the class with this news? I just got done answering this right before you came in, man. I know you didn't see it, but I'm really torn on it. Yeah, I'm 50-50. I think we can keep some, we can lose some. We could very well lose them anyway. I don't know how sure. I don't know what these. I don't know if they've spoken, the kids and the coaches. Don't know what conversations they've had. Somebody, I think it was either Liquid Code or BPA 1985, said Rothstein was saying that Kirk Reese is going to take time and consider what to do next. So even though we've got, sorry, I got a brain fart. Even though we've got a resolution to the coaching search, unfortunately, Kirk Reese has not made a decision yet. Joe Toussaint has not made a decision yet, and it's looking like Trey Mitchell's probably gone. But if you asked me to put money on it, I'd say Trey's gone. We've got a chance to get Joe and Kerr back. So when you think of it like that, not a huge harm, almost no foul. Trey is replaceable, guys. 11-5. Alexis Yetton is out there. He averaged right around 10-7. Although he's not, I wouldn't say the low post scorer that Trey Mitchell is. He's certainly got a good outside stroke. He shot as high as 35% from 3 points in his career. He's a left-handed player that scores over his right shoulder. Needs to work on scoring over his left shoulder. He can face up from the basket from all points on the court. Pretty good slasher, but he's a pretty good dunker. But what he does better than anything else is offensive rebound. And if Alexis Yetna does come to Morgantown, you'll see the reason he averages 7 a game is because he works his tail off. Trey already visited Kentucky, 50-50 for the other two. That's how I feel as well, man. All right. Jesse Branham, WVU this season with 25 wins in a season and Final Four post. Screenshot this. Well, Jesse, if that happens, I'll be shocked, but I'll be happy. I'll tell you that. I think I think out of all the fan bases in the country, we, the West Virginia Mountaineer fans, are due something good to happen. I really do think we deserve it, guys. Nobody can tell me different. We have had it rough these last 4 years, rougher than any fan base almost. Mouth's getting dry. Curtis D316 says, I like Trey, but he was really inconsistent. Yeah, like you remember guys against the Pitt in the Pitt game, he was getting double teamed and he was going around double teams and scoring. And he looked really good. Once there was some tape out on him, and once he hit Big 12 play, whole nother animal. I said all year long, if Trey Mitchell can get in the weight room, which would be this offseason now, and put on 10, 15 pounds of muscle, he could seriously be a Drew Timmy type player. But I don't know if he did that or not. If he does, then look out for Trey Mitchell because he's got the ability. He just doesn't have, in my opinion, his biggest weaknesses is his strength with the ball. Gets the ball stripped easily. He loses his handle a lot when going to the rim. Um, and then going up, he gets the ball stripped a lot. He doesn't finish through contact very well. So I think Trey's a guy that could have really benefited from another 10 to 15 pounds, especially at 6'8", 6'9", 220 or whatever he is. Could certainly use it. It is so hard being a West Virginia fan, Trey Parsons. Cody Parsons. Cody Parsons, I'm sorry. Krista Sisson, welcome back again. If you could just pick one of the two between Joe and Kerr to come back, who would you pick? It's a good question. I think it depends. If Anthony Edwards stays, give me Kerr because what Kerr Kriisa has shown to be able to do, he led the Pac-12 in assists, and he's really, really good at throwing lobs, which happens to be what Anthony or what Jesse Edwards scores on the most. He's really good around the rim. He's really good at catching lobs, really good at cleaning up garbage, but best of all, he's a rim protector. Kerr Kriisa is not the greatest defensive player. He's not bad, but he's not Joe Toussaint. Joe Toussaint is an almost elite defender. He's very good. He's like a Daxter Miles. Maybe not as good as Dax. Definitely not as good as JC. But he's a guy that the reason he came to Morgantown, Hugs targeted him. But he's not a great offensive threat, even though he had games. He's a very inconsistent scorer. He can get to the rim. Kerr Kriisa, on the other hand, is a guy that can flow the offense. He can really keep things moving. He's always looking to pass. He's what you call a secondary scorer. He doesn't look to score first almost never unless he's called to. He can stroke it 35, 36% from three, and he's really great in pick and roll situations, which before Trey Mitchell left was really going to look good as well because Trey can pick and pop and have the option to pop out or cut towards the basket, being that he is a multifaceted offensive player. Unfortunately, Trey Mitchell's probably gone now. We'll have to replace that with somebody who can also run a pick and roll with Kerr Kriisa. But I think Kerr would run the offense, and it's been reported that that's something he's elite at, is running an offense and making it flow. Can't really stress enough how important that is. What? Can somebody else corroborate this? Kobe Johnson has entered the portal. Does anybody else know about this? This is not good. Not that Kobe is one of our best players. I do think that he had the potential to be a good player, but I'm looking it up now. Yeah, he entered the portal. Well, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Although I don't think he is, like I said, he's not a bad player, but maybe he saw his playing time was going to be limited. Oh, he's not in the portal. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a long night, y'all. There's 164 you guys in here. Not in the portal. Okay. Well, I'm glad you said that. John Waffle, why are you trying to stir up trouble then? Dick. Sorry, Jack. I was like, well, for me, what I was going to start to say was, now do you start to speculate that the whole roster's falling apart? That was what I was going to be worried about. No offense to Kobe, but yeah. Really appreciate you guys for checking in with Hoops from the Hills, Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. If you're not subscribed to Hoops from the Hills or Mountaineer, excuse me, Paul Talks Football, hit that subscribe button, guys. It is free to subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. If you don't have notifications on, guys, do me a favor and hit that notification bell while you're sitting here. That way we can at least get you notified when we put up videos. Drop a comment below if you're watching this after the fact. Would really appreciate that. Let us know what you think about the hiring of Josh Eilert. It's a new era in Morgantown. Bob Huggins is out for good, it seems like. And also, last but not least, there's 171 in the chat. Hopefully, I've got 171 likes when I get out of this video. It would really make my day if 162 now would like this video. All right, guys. It's been an hour and 11 minutes. Is there anything else anybody else wants to talk about? As long as I don't, as long as I don't enter. I'm not going to enter the portal. I'm a West Virginian through and through forever. Not leaving, not going anywhere. I'm tired, though, I can tell you that. Thank you, Jacob Yoho, for the $2 super chat. Appreciate that. Said another day I was entering the portal. Seth Wilson, thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. If there's anything anybody else wants to say, I would really appreciate it. Toss it down there in the box. Whatever you want to do, I'll try to talk about it before I get out of here. But as you can see, my brain is fading fast. I would make Jordan McCabe GA. Yeah, I think so. I think he's earned that. That was going to be one of the big letdowns for me of this whole thing was if they went another route, that meant that not only that, but the whole roster that Jay Kuntz had really, I feel like he was the driving force behind. He wasn't going to be able to see that through. And then also Jordan McCabe not being a GA and the potential he has. He's already got a huge social media following. If you haven't seen, the potential he has as a coach is something I'm excited about for the future as well. Mark Brown needs 5 more years and he'll have the team built right. Good Lord. 5 more years, huh? That's my response, too. Jeb Burton, thanks for what you do. All right, guys. Well, we really appreciate you guys for chiming in, coming to see the changing of the guard in Morgantown as Josh Eilert is now the new interim head coach in Morgantown. Maybe you can get that tag taken off. You never know. Maybe you can win with this roster. We shall see. Really appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hoops from the Hills, Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, Kuz's Corner. We all love and thank you guys. You guys are people. Fist bump. This episode is over, guys. We appreciate y'all. I'm out.